shall begin. Tables of the proportion of marriages to births, of deaths to births, of marriages to the number of inhabitants, etc., formed on observations made upon the bills of mortality, christenings, etc., of populous cities, will not suit countries, nor will tables formed on observations made on full settled old countries as Europe suit new countries as America. For people increase in proportion to the number of marriages, and that is greater in proportion to the ease and convenience of supporting a family. When families can be easily supported, more persons marry and earlier in life. In cities where all trades and occupations and offices are full, many delay marrying till they can see how to bear the charges of a family, which charges are greater in the cities.
Forgive me, screwed up. All right.
In cities where all trades, occupations, and offices are full, many delay marrying till they can see how to bear the charges of a family, which charges are greater in cities, as luxury is more common. Many single during life and continue servants to families, journeymen to trades, etc. Hence, cities do not by natural generation supply themselves with inhabitants. The deaths are more than the births. In countries full settled, the case must be nearly the same, all lands being occupied and improved to the heights. Those who cannot get land must labor for those that have it. When laborers are plenty, their wages will be low. By low wages, a family is supported with difficulty. This difficulty deters many from marriage, who therefore long continue servants and single. Only as the cities take supplies from people from the country and thereby make a little more room in the country, marriage is a little bit more encouraged there, and the births exceeds the debts. Europe is generally full settled with husbandmen, manufacturers, etc., and therefore cannot now much increase in people. America is chiefly occupied by Indians who subsist mostly by hunting. But as the hunter of all men requires the greatest quantity of land from whence to draw his subsistence, the gardener, But as the hunter of all men requires the greatest quantity of land from whence to draw his subsistence, the husbandman subsisting on much less, the gardener on still less, and the manufacturer requiring the least of all. The Europeans found America as fully settled as it well could be by hunters. Yet having these large tracts, were easily prevailed on to part with portions of territories to the newcomers, who did not much interfere with the natives in hunting and furnished them with many things they wanted. Land being thus plenty in America, and so cheap as a laboring man that understands husbandry can in a short time save money enough to purchase a piece of new land sufficient for a plantation, whereon he may subsist a family. Such are not afraid to marry, for if they even look far enough to consider how their children, when grown up, are to be provided for, they see that more land is to be had at rates equally easily, all circumstances considered. Hence, marriages in America are more general and more generally early than in Europe. And if it is reckoned there that there is but one marriage per annum among 100 persons, perhaps we may reckon here 2. And if in Europe they have but 4 marriages to a family, many of the marriages being late, we may here reckon 8, of which if one half grow up, and our marriages are made, reckoning one with another at 20 years of age, our people must at least be doubled every 20 years. But notwithstanding this increase, so vast is the territory of North America that it will require many ages to settle it fully. Until it is fully settled, labor will never be cheap here, where no man continues long a labor for others, but gets a plantation of his own. No man continues a long journey to a trade, but goes among the new settlers and sets up for himself, etc. Hence, labor is no cheaper now in Pennsylvania than it was 30 years ago, though so many thousand laboring people have been imported. The danger, therefore, of these colonies interfering with their mother country in trades that depend on labor, manufacturers, etc., is too remote to require the attention of Great Britain. But in proportion to the increase of the colonies, a vast demand is growing for British manufacturers, a glorious market wholly in the power of Britain, in which foreigners cannot interfere, which will increase in a short time even beyond her power of supplying, though her whole trade should be to her colonies. Therefore, Britain should not too much restrain manufacturers in her colonies. A wise and good mother will not do it. To distress is to weaken, and weakening the children weakens the whole family. Besides, if manufacturers of Britain, by reason of the American demands, should rise too high in price, foreigners who can sell cheaper will drive her merchants out of foreign markets. Foreign manufacturers will thereby be encouraged and increased, and consequently, foreign nations, perhaps her rivals in power, grow more populous and more powerful, while her own colonies, kept too low, are unable to assist her or add to her strength. Tis an ill-grounded opinion that by the labor of slaves, America may possibly vie in cheapness of manufacturers with Britain. The labor of slaves can never be so cheap here as the labor of working men is in Britain. Any one man may compute it. Interest of money is in the colonies from 6 to 10%. Slaves one with another cost 30 shillings per head. Reckon then the interest of the first purchase of a slave, the insurance or risk on his life, his clothing and diet, expenses in his sickness, and loss of time lost by his neglect of business. Neglect is natural to the man who is not to be benefited by his own care or diligence. Expense of a driver to keep him at work, and his pilfering from time to time, almost every slave being by nature a thief, and compare the whole amount with the wages of a manufacturer of iron or wool in England, you will see that labor is much more cheaper there than it can ever be by Negroes here. Why then will Americans purchase slaves? Because slaves may be kept as long as a man pleases, or has occasion for their labor, while hired men are continually leaving their masters, often in the midst of his business, and setting up for himself. Okay, so we are going to stop there. Okay, we're going to stop there, and we're going to break it down in the next video. All right, see you there.